to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
What is up, you guys? We got Dana White's Contender Series Week 1 kicking off tonight. Of course, the 2022 edition of the show. And we got a stacked card. We really do have some true talent on Week 1's card here. Unfortunately, there was a fight that I was looking forward to that did fall off the card. Farid Basharat and William Souza. That fight falls apart because William Souza missed weight by a ridiculous amount. Farid Basharat, I believe the brother of Javid Basharat, a fighter that we saw come through Dana White's Contender Series as well. He now fights in the UFC. He's a true talent. The Afghani brothers now fighting out of England. Both of them seem to be very talented. So I do believe that Farid will have another opportunity in the very near future. Now, I will do my best to get these videos out to you much sooner moving forward. I know the fights are taking place tonight, and I'm just getting it to you here now. I apologize for that. I promise to do my best to get these Dana White's Contender Series videos out to you in days in advance, just so you guys know that. I do apologize. Other than that, definitely have to give you guys the side note. When it comes to the Dana White's Contender Series fight cards, keep in mind, sometimes they're a little tricky. Sometimes you're not able to get a lot of information on specific fighters. Sometimes you can't pull up any type of fight footage on them. It's hard to get certain stats on these fighters. That wasn't necessarily the case with this fight card. I was actually able to pull up ample information, a good amount of fight tape on them, but just understand moving forward that that may be the case with specific fighters. And when it comes to a betting standpoint, it could be tricky at times, but I also feel sometimes you could have a good edge. If you get that good information in early, you can be ahead of the curve and you could find some solid spots to make money. So just understand it's a little bit different than your average UFC fight card where you have tons and tons of tape and background on these fighters, where you have larger sample sizes. All right. Sometimes you see these fighters, they don't look so good on some of the tape you pull up, and all of a sudden they step into the cage for the show and they look amazing. Some of them are so young. You see major growth in their game rapidly. There's all types of different X factors here. All right. So before we jump into the card, please do catch me on all my social media platforms, on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _, Twitter, The MMA Teller. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Please do that if you guys haven't already, and won't hold you guys up too much longer. Let's jump right into the first fight. In the first fight, we got Alessandro Costa taking on Andres Luna Martinetti. Fight taking place in the flyweight division. Alessandro Costa, we'll start off by talking about him. First things first with him, his jiu-jitsu is his bread and butter. The word is that he's gotten to the jiu-jitsu game in his early teens, right around 14. You see it translate into his fights when you pull up tape on him. He's wicked fast with his transitions down on the mat. I mean, if he's on his back, if he's in his guard, he's slapping up arm bars, triangle chokes. He's doing all that type of stuff with even transitioning up to his feet with ease, but also has some offensive grappling as well as far as getting the fight down to the mat. He has some decent wrestling from what I've seen. I've seen him cutting angles pretty well, running the pipe on single legs, getting the fight down to the mat. I think that he will have the edge here on the mat. His opponent, Martinetti, as you see here, looks like he has a twin brother that you see them training with, Brandon Moreno. He's 12-0. He's undefeated. He's going to have a size advantage in this fight. He's about 4 inches taller. We don't have an age on Costa. I believe he's still pretty young. I was trying to pull it up, but I thought I saw something. He's still a pretty young fighter. He is a young dude. And nothing but praise from him from big name fighters. Juliana Pena had nothing but good things to say about him. He's 10-2 as a pro. Now to the tape. When I break down on tape on Martinetti, I was looking at some of his earlier fights and also caught up with a fight that was more recent. Early on, he had a very interesting stance when he fought. He had his hands kind of just up, like kind of open, and he looked like he was almost like slap boxing, kind of messing around, but he's very comfortable on the feet. I've seen that stance kind of evolve over the years. He is a guy that's still very confident on the feet. I wouldn't say he's the most technical, but he's just comfortable there. Alessandro Costa, to me, looks like he has a little bit more pop in his punches. Was breaking down some tape on him. Some of the fights were a little bit earlier in his career as well. Definitely needs to refine some of his technical abilities there. But you guys know the deal with these types of fights on the show. Some of these guys, you see major growth with them from some of the tape you're breaking down up until how they perform in the cage for the show. And I'm sure we're going to see the best version of Costa. From what I've seen, putting the puzzle pieces together, I got to go with Costa in this fight. Mainly just I feel that his jiu-jitsu should be a major notch ahead, and he should be the more explosive athlete. I mean, you saw the video I pulled up here a second ago. I mean, he's really looking to be in great shape for this fight. He's putting on some muscle. As I said, he's already explosive. I mean, you see him ready to go here. I am going to side with him to get the job done here. You see Diego Lopez shoulder to shoulder with him. That's a fighter that could definitely throw down as well. He's surrounding himself around solid talent, and I am going to take him to win the fight. We'll pull up the betting line here. You're going to see that Alessandro Costa is up there right now. He's right around a minus 265 up to a minus 275. I feel that may be a little high. We raved about the jiu-jitsu game that he has. I did see some situations in his fights where he was put on his back at times. Now, he kind of was allowing that to happen, I think, because he was ready to play off his back and he felt comfortable down there. But I did see him on his back for a few moments within his fights. We've also seen Andres Luna get on top of some of his opponents and control them down there and have pretty good submission defense, keeping his arms tucked in. He was defending a lot of submission attempts. Maybe he's he is the larger man. Maybe he's able to kind of control Costa down there and stay out of danger. I think that's less likely to happen, though. I'll go with Costa. I think he'll be slapping up subs left and right. Another thing, too, when you break down tape on Andres, he's 12-0, but I almost feel that some of the level of opponents that he was fighting is a step below. But when you watch, not even just looking at their resumes and their records, but when you watch the tape in the fights, the way that they're transitioning on the mat is a step slower than what you see in a guy like Costa. Costa is just immediately transitioning from submission attempts to another submission attempt. I saw him throw up a triangle. I don't know how his opponent got out of that triangle attempt by him, but then he's immediately slapping on an armbar. I was just impressed with him, and I'm curious to see how his striking is evolving as well, but I will take him to win the fight. He's a pretty hefty favorite. Be a little bit careful. You guys know how it goes with some of these big favorites in the show. You never know if there's just some information that really hasn't came out and people are just sleeping on this guy, Andreas, and really the line's off. Just be a little bit careful there, but I do think that Costa gets the job done. Kaleio Romero taking on Denis Buzukja. I mean, that's what I'm calling him. I'm calling him Denis Buzukja. I think I kind of got the name right, but regardless, it just sounds better, and we're going with Buzukja. Denis Buzukja. This is a guy that we actually saw fight on Dana White's Contender Series a while back. He fought Melsek Bagdasaryan, I believe is how you pronounce it. Melsek, a guy that got a contract after that fight, a guy that's an extremely dangerous striker. He's still rounding out his overall game, but if you remember, Melsek hasn't had a fight recently, but a guy that's just an absolute stud on the feet, and he was able to really shine against Buzukja and in their first fight there. But again, he's getting another opportunity here. Since that loss to Melsek Bagdasaryan, there he is there. That was about 2 years ago. Denis goes off and strings off 3 victories in a row, taking out Shakam Moore, Michael Lawrence, and Josh Roller. So good to see him getting back in the win column. He's still only 24 years old, about to be 25. He's relatively young. And now he takes on Kaleio Romero, the Team Alpha male product, who's also young, 26 years old, has the wrestling background, had the wrestling background before he got into the sport of MMA. And he's refining things and fine-tuning things over there with Uriah Faber at Team Alpha Male, which is always a great sign. You guys know I'm very high on Team Alpha Male, especially for these lower weight class fighters that have that wrestling background. They translate perfect over there. Uriah Faber, he knows the recipe with those types of fighters and where to start with them and to have them excel in the game relatively quick. Breaking down tape on Romero. First things first. Hasn't had a fight in over a year. One of the fights I was just recently watching of his was a couple years ago. I believe it was the Israel Delgado fight. You can pull that up on YouTube. We're talking about a fight that was over 2.5 years ago. In that fight, I like the confidence that he has. He has kind of an awkward southpaw stance. He throws some haymakers with the left hand. Definitely needs to refine his technical abilities there. But again, keep in mind, we're talking about a fight that happened 2.5 years ago when you're watching that tape. Then in his next fight that was relatively sooner, slightly over a year ago, gets that knockout victory against Andy Perez. You can expect his striking to look better and better. So if you're watching tape on that Israel fight, he's going to put off a better performance than what you're seeing on tape there. Denis Buzukja, he had a big knockout that you could pull up on YouTube. He had, I think it was a spinning elbow that he landed. He's thrown some wild attacks on the feet. He's comfortable there. In fact, we could pull this one up right here, where you're going to see him step in here and set up a nice spinning back elbow right to the chin. I mean, a beautiful performance there. Overall, though, when I was breaking down tape on him, I wasn't necessarily astonished by his striking. It's a little slow, but at the same time, it is accurate. It is powerful. Talk about surrounding yourself with top talent. You see him over here with the champ Sterling and the Long Islanders over there, Ally, Quinta, and you know the deal with these guys. We're talking about a legit camp. So he's surrounding himself with solid talent. Let's get to the betting line here, because I was a little surprised to see this line here. Denis Buzukja is right around a minus 210 up to a minus 220, with Romero being a pretty solid dog here, plus 180. I got to give you guys an underdog on the card here. I'm going to say Romero looks to be the best version that we've seen from him, which we haven't seen much from him, but I'm going to say that he's been excelling over there at Team Alpha Male. I like the wrestling background that he already has. He'll be tough there. Although I wouldn't be shocked if Denis stuffs all those takedowns, and he's pretty well versed with his grappling as well. It may end up being a little bit of a firefight on the feet. If you saw the stare down, these guys were really intense. Again, we're going to get to these stare downs at the end of this video. We'll slide through all of them real quick. But this was a very intense stare down. I think this fight may be up for grabs. I think the line may be off. I don't say that extremely confident, so please take that with a grain of salt. All right, guys. But we'll pick one dog here. We'll take Kaleio Romero. I don't want to just slide through this card giving you all favorites. Giving you a little bit of a hint who my next pick's going to be in the next fight. And then at least in the main event, though, we have a pick 'em. We'll get to that. But I will go with the dog here in Kaleio Romero. Let's see how he looks. We got a light heavyweight matchup here between Anton Turkalj taking on Acácio dos Santos. Anton, the Swedish fighter. Let's talk about him here for a second. This guy oozes with confidence. If you've seen any interviews with him recently, you guys know what I'm talking about. He had multiple opportunities to fight in major organizations over the past year or so and has passed them all up. He said that he refused to fight anywhere but the UFC. The only way you could prove to be the best fighter on planet Earth, he says, is to fight inside the octagon, and that's what he wants to do. I thought that was very powerful. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, he was not able to fight on the previous season of Dana White's Contender Series, which he was supposed to be fighting on. Now he's held off for over a year, spent over a year since his last fight, a year and 3 months. But he's been in the gym nonstop. He's been grinding. He's been surrounding himself with a lot of top-level talent, training with Khamzat Chimaev, Alexander Gustafsson, a lot of the top fighters from that region of the world. So that's always a great thing that he's surrounding himself with those types of fighters. And you would assume that if he has this level of confidence and he's around those types of guys, he has a realistic gauge of what type of fighter that he is. So that's powerful there. Now, when you break down tape on him, he's a fun fighter to watch for sure. Definitely has some solid ground and pound and some grappling skills. When he gets down on the mat, he really knows how to control his opponents pretty good. And at the same time, he knows how to inflict some good damage down there. We've seen him pull off subs as well. So he's very fine-tuned down in the mat. He's not just looking for subs. He's not just looking to rain ground and pound. He's well-versed down in the mat. He is a well-versed fighter. On the feet, he's a little bit wild and definitely can refine his striking, which is going to be a common theme with a lot of these up-and-coming fighters. He can definitely refine his striking. But at the same time, I mean, we've seen him really pull off some wild stuff on the feet. See, I can pull this up right here. I think this was one of the fights I saw on YouTube as well, where he lands A really, really nasty strike in the feet. Let's see here. Boom, there it is. Hits him with the spinning back forearm, spinning back fist. He seems to be pretty damn comfortable on the feet. But as I said, from an overall standpoint, I want to see his striking get better and better, of course. Now, Acácio dos Santos, this is a fighter that's very game. That's really what I gather when I broke down taping him. This is a fighter that's very game, and a very pivotal fight that you want to pull up when you want to get an idea of what kind of fighter he is the Matthias Shuffle fight. He won that via split decision. He faced some very early adversity. If you guys aren't familiar with Matthias Shuffle, he's actually also fought on Dana White's Contender Series, and he's coming off one of the biggest victories of his career. In fact, it was the biggest victory of his career, where he really styled on Bruno Capellozoa over in PFL. If you guys are familiar with Bruno, you guys know he's one of the most dangerous light heavyweight fighters on planet Earth. So that was a major performance. So that's a big win. That's a big win that Acácio has under his belt. But more importantly, when you watch that fight, it is up on YouTube. You could see that he's a durable fighter. He took some big shots. He's mentally strong, facing that adversity, hanging tough, and then going back to the drawing board in the second and third rounds and scoring his own points, landing some solid shots in the feet as well, and taking that fight. So, those are definitely some solid things that he has going for him. He's 30 years old. He has 18 professional fights already, 11 more pro fights than Anton. Acácio has that lackadaisical type style on the feet. It almost looks like he's sparring and whatnot, but you could tell he still has some serious power as well. He's just kind of, if you guys catch my drift, he has like that style where it kind of looks like he's in a street fight. He's just kind of, rolling with the punches. He'll roll his back up against the cage, but he'll throw some nasty power shots on you as well. Definitely has the ability to knock fighters out. I do believe that for sure. You guys know what the deal is with the light heavyweight division regardless. He is an athlete. He may not look like the most refined athlete, carries a little bit of punch to him, but you can see his muscles under there, and he's a big boy. He has a crazy reach. We'll pull up his reach here, which you're not going to be able to see here on Tapology, but trust me, he does have a serious reach, and we'll see him in the stare downs in a second. His arms are hanging low. So I do believe that he's a true danger and a true threat to Anton, but I am going to side with Anton to win this fight. I like who he's been training with. I love the confidence that he possesses. He's very well-rounded. He's unorthodox on the feet himself. I could see this fight going a couple different ways, and I want to bring up the betting line here. Anton is a -170 to a -180 line, even as high as a -205 over on FanDuel. I think the word is there's a lot of promise with him, but at the end of the day, I would not be shocked if Acácio dos Santos shows up and makes this a wild fight and a very tough test for Anton. I would not be shocked in the slightest. I still am going to take Anton to win this fight, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets the job done in dominating fashion down on the mat or does something wild as well. He has that type of ability, but I'm a little bit torn on this line. Again, you're going to see that sometimes with these types of fights. There's a lot of ifs going on here. Anton, 26 years old. He's still very young. Like I said, doesn't have a lot of experience, 7 pro fights. He's fighting a fighter that's been around the block a little bit longer. We can take a look at the level of competition. He took out Ibu Aslan. He was 8-0. Other than that, though, a lot of the fighters that he's faced were lower level fighters as far as their resumes go. I'm still going to side with the Swede. I will take him to get the job done, and it should be a good fight. From a betting standpoint, I think a lot of people are eyeing Anton here too, but don't be shocked if it plays out closer than some of you guys expect. I absolutely love this main event here. Ozzy Diaz, the former LFA champion, take on Joseph Pyfer. Joseph Body Bags Pyfer. This is a fighter that we've been waiting to make his return back to Dana White's Contender Series for a while now. You guys know what happened the first time around. He had that very unfortunate situation where his arm popped out, where he fought Dustin Stoltzfus. It was a very uncomfortable sight to watch. They were fighting for position there. They both had their shoulders locked in, and Pyfer just kind of lost his balance a little bit, and Stoltzfus really cranked on his shoulder, and it just, the way that he landed on his left shoulder, I believe it was his other shoulder, it popped out of place. It was nasty. And Ozzy Diaz, we'll talk about him real quick. Ozzy Diaz is a guy that carries some serious power on the feet, has some devastating knockouts over in LFA. and he is a true threat to anybody he faces off against, and a true threat to be a legit fighter in the UFC. Now, both these guys carry some serious power on the feet. I could see either of these guys getting the knockout tonight. I'm telling you right now, Joseph Pyfer also has some serious power in his boxing. Whoever lands that big shot first could be the fighter that has their hand raised in this fight. I really feel that this is a very closely contested matchup. Ozzy Diaz is going to be a little bit of the more naturally larger fighter. He's 3 inches taller. We're going to get to the Staredowns here in a second. Ozzy Diaz is a big boy. Fighting out of California. Well, Pyfer fights out of Pennsylvania. Only 25 years old still, about to be 26. He's a true athlete as well. I think this fight is going to take place on the feet. I think these guys are going to slug it out. I really do believe that. I think they're going to be looking to make a name for themselves. They're going to be looking to get a contract. I think this fight's going to deliver, and one of these fighters is going to land a big shot and get the knockout. That's how I see this fight going down. I think somebody gets the knockout in the main event. I'm going to edge Pyfer. I've had the pleasure to chat it up with Pyfer a little bit on Instagram back in the day. He's a solid dude. I'm really pulling for him. I really hope he gets the contract here in this fight, after going through everything that he went through. That was all the way about almost 2 years ago since the incident. He since had another knockout victory over at CFFC against Austin Trotman. This is a very evenly matched fight. Give me Joseph Pyfer. I don't say that with any level of confidence. I want to make that clear. I really believe that Ozzy Diaz can get the job done here as well. I'm excited for this fight. I'm going to be sitting back, eating some popcorn, just enjoying this fight. But give me Joseph Pyfer to get the job done. And from a betting standpoint, the line is extremely close. It's straight up a pick 'em, basically. Joseph Pyfer, a very, very slight dog, if you even want to say that, -105 with the comeback on Ozzy Diaz at the -115. So, there's a little bit of a little bit of a lean on Ozzy Diaz, but not much at all. You do have to like the experience that Ozzy has over at LFA as well. And I'm going to go with Pyfer, though. Don't be surprised if you see Ozzy Diaz get that knockout as well. Or, you really can't hold this too serious. But, Pyfer, last time his body gave out on him, there's some type of fluke injury happened once again. You can't really bank on something like that. You really can't predict those types of things. I say these guys slug it out and someone gets knocked out. So we take a look at the Staredowns here. What I gathered from this stare down between Costa and Luna, although Costa is the shorter man, I don't think there's much of a difference in their actual size. Costa is much more muscular, much more wide than his opponent there. So I really don't think that the size advantage was as significant when you take a look at that. This was one of the better stare downs here. Buzukja versus Romero. These guys refused to disengage. They were locked in. And I really like the way that Romero waits on the stage after they looked at each other. He refused to look away, kind of just winning that small battle there. It just shows that he's game. And I like the confidence. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to show up and perform in the cage. We'll see how that goes. Here we go. We got the big light heavyweight fighters, Anton and Acácio. Anton oozing with confidence, like I said, has a little smirk there. But you could tell Acácio means business as well. Neither guy really the most jacked up fighter. They kind of have similar body types. We talked about that a little bit when we were breaking down the fight. And then we got the big main event here, Ozzy Diaz and Joseph Pyfer. As you see, Ozzy Diaz a little bit more, a little bit taller, a little bit of the larger man. But Joseph Pyfer doesn't really rely on his size that much. He's looking to land those pinpoint accuracy shots. Again, it's going to be the fighter that lands that big shot in this fight, in my opinion, who gets the job done. So I don't really gather too much from the size advantage or anything like that. All right. Very excited for the fights. Once again, I do apologize for getting this video out a little bit late to you. Let me not ramble anymore. This way I can upload this video to YouTube and hopefully it can help some of you guys out. Of course, just understand that moving forward, I will have these videos out to you earlier. I'll be able to do my fight research and prepare a little bit better and a little bit earlier in the week. I do promise you guys that. All right. On that note, signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.